I'm working on something extremely important to me, that is deflating DUC. DUC is discarded used condom. Deflating DUC validation hyperinflation using anthropology and evolutionary biology. So I've decided to interrupt my regular programming with this video just to give one final assessment on modern quote-unquote fitness after so many years of first-hand experience. This was my physique at the age of 41, about 2 years ago. 6'3", barefoot, 215 pounds. I was running test prop 100 mgs every second day in either Proviron or Turinabol, T-Bol, I can't remember which. Either way, a very small and cheap cycle, and the results were incredible. The test prop hit just as hard as tren and anthate. The only downside was having to inject every second day, which makes it impossible to cruise on, for me at least. I was also eating only about 120 grams of protein per day, which I'm doing to this day, and which goes against what the fitness and supplement industries have been teaching since the 80s, if not earlier. And the standard is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, or even more than 1 gram. So I should have been eating, 215 grams at least. I was training about 20 minutes a day at home and that's 20 minutes a day, 6 days, even 7 days a week, but 20 minutes a day with a combination of calisthenics, kettlebell work, and high-rep squats and shrugs with a 90-pound dumbbell. After hopping on the test prop, I observed body recomp and lean gains of 3 to 5 pounds, with just 120 grams of protein and those ridiculously light workouts, which tells me that I never needed to go to the gym at all. If I was able to make lean gains at that point in my life, at the age of 41 and change, with such a low protein diet and such a ridiculously light workout program, after 20 years of lifting and 13 years of roiding, then I almost surely could have made all my original gains. And by original gains, I mean when I went from 170 pounds to 205 in about 12 months. So I could have made all those original gains eating just 120 grams of protein and doing those short, at-home workouts. As long as I was roiding, of course, although all it took was just one, cheap oral steroid, Turinabol. Cheap. If we're ranking oral steroids, it's not exactly the cheapest because D-Bol is cheaper, Winstrol is cheaper, Anavar is the most expensive, but Turinabol is below Anavar. But my point is that it just took one steroid. I wasn't stacking anything. I wasn't taking GH, of course, which is very expensive, pharma-grade GH. I was just taking one steroid, oral steroid, and it was cheap. It was cheap. I mean, by Western standards, at least, it was cheap. If you don't live in Uttar Pradesh or Sub-Saharan Africa, it's cheap. So all it took was just one cheap oral steroid, Turinabol, to make my initial 30-pound gains. 30 pounds of lean, mind you. I was a super ectomorph at 170 pounds, benching 235 for 4, force-feeding myself every day, taking creatine, eating 200 grams of protein, and I couldn't make any lean gains above 175. Once before that in the past, I hit 195 years before that, but that was a skinny, fat 195, really unaesthetic, disgusting kind of 195. But when I hopped on that one roid at the age of 28 and a half, it really was like magic. So I've come to the conclusion that in my case, and I'm emphasizing in my case, all right, that's important, to attain this kind of physique, the breakdown always was 10% diet, 10% training, 40% genetics, and 40% roids. What a waste of extra time, money, and energy on the protein, the gyms, and the thousands of tons of iron lifted and unnecessary strain and wear and tear on my body and joints. Lots of wear and tear. The gyms and just also getting to the gym and home from the gym, all that extra time, all that socializing at the gym, that contributed to character development, the socializing in some ways, but it could have been cut down to, really, it could have been cut down to a few months at the gym, looking back. If we're talking, the benefits of socializing and what those social interactions taught me about myself and about others could have been cut down to a few months, really. Not I started going to the gym at about the age of, what was I, 29? A year, the first year that I made my gains, I was lifting at home. Almost the entire first year I was lifting at home, but I was lifting heavy at home. I got up to uh, 120 kilos at home, benching 120 kilos times 20. And 120 kilos, that's about 265. So I was benching 265 times 20 at home before I finally signed up to the gym, hoping to make more gains. So I was lifting very heavy at home. I mean, that's very heavy compared to 90-pound dumbbell shrugs and squats. Liver King was exposed by his former personal trainer for running $11,000 worth of gear every month. This was a few years ago. I mean, this was a few years ago that he was exposed, not that he stopped roiding, I'm sure. Almost all of that $11,000 went to the best quality growth hormone. Besides that, he was running just 600 mgs of test. That should give you an idea of what it takes to be huge and shredded, whether you're 5'6" like Liver King or 6'2" like Mike O'Hearn. I'm convinced that any yoked fitness influencer that can afford it is running pharma-grade HGH with a small test base. A tren is not only a meme steroid, but first and foremost, toxic pleb slop. My cycle here in this video, was under $200 a month. Aesthetically, my physique was arguably, or maybe even easily, top 1% for the 35 plus age group, and top 5% for under 35. I'm talking real world stats, of course, not online influencer world. Today, 2 years later, I'm cruising on about 300 mgs of test cypionate per week. It doesn't compare at all to test prop and T-Bull, but it keeps the pounds on. My physique isn't what it was at 41, but it's still respectable, especially for my age. I'm at that age, boyos, where I can say for my age, yes. You will be there too one day, probably. Maybe I'll post a physique update 5 months from now, on January 1st, if, of course, the channel doesn't get terminated by then. So once again, 10% diet with 120 grams of protein at 215 pounds body weight, 10% training with 20 minutes a day at home, 40% gear worth under $200, and 40% super ectomorph genetics with visible abs from the age of 10. So 80% roids and genetics, and they turned the other 20% into never-ending trillion-dollar quantum physics tier industries. Dieting, training, supplementation, etc., etc. These are the light ages. I grew up as a millennial in the dark ages. Everything before Web 2.0 was the dark ages. Curated one-way lies and slop for the goy masses. Today, there's no excuse anymore to believe the mainstream lies like a brain-dead goy animal subhuman automaton. Today, at their fingertips, males have the most advanced and comprehensive library of all things, written and visual, the world has ever seen, and a virtual gymnasium and agora where they can interact with others and exchange advice and ideas at their own pace and leisure.